What if the true strength of humanity isn't revealed in moments of victory, but in how people care for one another when life is disrupted? Set in a fictional future Japan, this film follows a quiet medical worker whose actions inside a temporary shelter reveal a powerful story about responsibility, compassion, and resilience. Today, let's take a closer look at a movie that finds hope in the smallest human choices. At the center of the story is Hikaru Shibasaki, a member of a medical support team assigned to assist a community facing prolonged hardship. She is not framed as a hero in the traditional sense, but as a professional guided by responsibility and quiet compassion. Rather than focusing on the causes of social upheaval, the narrative gently shifts attention to its effects on daily life. People gather in shared living spaces, learning to navigate unfamiliar routines together. Conversations are subdued, movements careful, and emotions often unspoken. Haru's role quickly becomes clearer. Her responsibilities go beyond physical care. She listens, observes, and responds to emotional cues that others might overlook. The communal shelter is portrayed as a living organism, shaped by the people within it. Some residents struggle with uncertainty, while others attempt to maintain routines as a way of preserving dignity. The film avoids labeling these responses as right or wrong. Instead, it presents them as natural human reactions, encouraging empathy rather than judgment. Haru and her teammates gradually introduce small initiatives that help restore a sense of order. Simple schedules, shared responsibilities, and moments of calm conversation become anchors in an otherwise unsettled environment. These actions may seem modest, but the film carefully illustrates their impact. One of the most compelling aspects of this opening segment is its pacing. The slow rhythm allows space for reflection, encouraging the audience to notice details that might otherwise be missed. A reassuring glance, a patient explanation, or a quiet gesture of assistance carries emotional weight. Importantly, the film maintains a hopeful undercurrent without denying the challenges faced by the characters. It acknowledges the strain of limited resources and shared spaces, yet consistently redirects focus toward cooperation and resilience. This balance is essential, particularly for younger viewers, as it models constructive responses to difficulty rather than fear or despair. By grounding the narrative in these values, the film invites viewers not just to watch, but to reflect on how similar principles apply in their own lives. Daily life inside the shelter begins to take shape. These moments become the quiet heartbeat of the film, revealing how structure and familiarity can bring comfort when everything else feels uncertain. Haru's presence grows more influential during this phase. She is no longer simply responding to immediate needs. She is helping shape an environment where calm can exist. Through her actions, the film highlights an important educational idea. Stability is often built through repetition and trust. By consistently showing up, listening without judgment, and offering clear guidance, Haru helps others regain a sense of control over their own lives. The communal setting becomes a place of subtle emotional exchange. Some residents begin to open up, sharing concerns in measured ways, while others observe from a distance, slowly adjusting at their own pace. The film carefully avoids dramatic confrontations, choosing instead to explore internal struggles that feel authentic and universal. Haru's colleagues are given space to demonstrate their own approaches, reinforcing the idea that support systems work best when responsibilities are shared. Each team member contributes differently, whether through organization, communication, or simple acts of reassurance. Together, they create a network of care that extends beyond professional duties and into genuine human connection. The film cleverly demonstrates that mental health can be supported through clear communication, establishing respectful boundaries and consistent routines. Rather than presenting solutions as instructions, the narrative allows viewers to see the results firsthand. Small improvements in mood, cooperation, and trust begin to emerge, reinforcing the power of thoughtful, compassionate leadership. At the same time, the film does not ignore moments of tension. Limited resources and shared spaces naturally create challenges, but these are portrayed with restraint and balance. When misunderstandings arise, they are met with calm dialogue and reflection, modeling constructive problem-solving. Haru's character development becomes more visible here. She reflects quietly on her role, aware of the weight of responsibility, but also grounded by purpose. The film avoids turning her into a symbol of perfection. Instead, it presents her as someone learning alongside others, adapting her approach as she observes what truly helps the community thrive. The shelter itself continues to evolve, gradually transforming from a place of uncertainty into one of cautious cooperation. Shared meals, organized tasks, and moments of calm conversation create a sense of belonging. These scenes are gentle reminders that community is not defined by circumstances, but by the choices people make toward one another. While challenges remain, there is a growing sense of confidence and mutual respect within the group. Through this quiet progression, the story prepares viewers for deeper emotional reflection while maintaining a tone that is reassuring, educational, and inspiring. Time has passed, and while the shelter now functions more smoothly, the emotional strain of prolonged adjustment becomes more visible. This is where the story delves deeper, inviting us to reflect not only on how people cope in the short term, but also on how they sustain hope over time. Haru remains at the emotional center, though her role subtly shifts. She is no longer focused solely on helping others find stability. She must also confront her own sense of fatigue and self-doubt. The film approaches this with great care, framing it as a natural response to responsibility rather than a personal failing. The communal environment begins to mirror this emotional complexity. Some residents appear outwardly calm, yet carry quiet concerns about the future. Others wrestle with impatience or discouragement, not through outbursts, but through small changes in behavior. Haru's teammates step in more visibly, offering support not just to residents, but to one another. This mutual care reinforces the idea that strong communities depend on collaboration, not individual endurance. The film gently shows us the value of asking questions, sharing responsibilities, and recognizing limits before they become overwhelming. Moments of reflection are woven throughout the narrative. Haru takes brief pauses to observe the shelter, noticing how earlier efforts have taken root. Simple routines continue, but now they carry deeper meaning. A calm conversation, a shared task, or a quiet smile becomes a reminder that progress, though slow, is real. These scenes emphasize that healing is not a straight path, but a process shaped by consistency and patience. The film also addresses uncertainty about the future with sensitivity. Rather than offering clear answers, it focuses on how people live with unanswered questions. Haru's inner growth becomes apparent through her actions rather than words. She begins to delegate more, trust her team, and allow herself moments of rest. These choices model healthy leadership and self-care, demonstrating that effectiveness is strengthened, not weakened, by balance. The film presents this shift as a quiet turning point, one that resonates deeply without needing dramatic emphasis. The shelter stands as a symbol of collective resilience. It is not portrayed as a perfect solution, but as a space where people have learned to support one another with patience and respect. The film leaves the audience with a thoughtful reminder. Endurance is not just about holding on, but about growing together through understanding, kindness, and shared responsibility. As the film moves into its final phase, life in the shelter has reached a steady rhythm. While uncertainty still exists, it no longer defines every moment. Instead, there is a sense of grounded acceptance, shaped by the collective effort of people who have learned how to live together with patience and care. Haru's role now feels complete, not because her work is finished, but because its impact is visible. The individuals she once supported tentatively now move with greater confidence and mutual respect. The film does not frame this as a victory, but as growth. This distinction reinforces one of its most important educational lessons. Meaningful change is often subtle and measured, built through consistency rather than dramatic breakthroughs. The narrative gently highlights how small, thoughtful actions have accumulated over time. Shared responsibilities are handled naturally, conversations carry warmth, and moments of calm reflection are part of daily life. Haru herself embodies this lesson. The shelter, once a symbol of disruption, now represents connection. It becomes a space where differences are respected and cooperation feels natural. The film avoids presenting this as a permanent solution or ideal state. Instead, it frames it as evidence of what people can achieve when empathy guides their actions. This grounded perspective keeps the conclusion realistic, hopeful, and emotionally honest. In its final moments, the film leaves viewers with a lasting impression rather than a definitive ending. It suggests that while circumstances may change, the lessons learned remain relevant. Through its calm pacing and human-centered storytelling, the film affirms an uplifting truth. When people choose understanding, cooperation, and care, they create stability that extends far beyond any single moment.